Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Free Culture Sports Show, the U. Slight name change today, just to let y'all be aware of. It is still the U, which did stand for every Wednesday with Evan, but as y'all probably know, once you define a day, it is hard to stick to a schedule. But Wednesdays happen once a week, and so since I can't do Wednesday all the time, we've decided to go with every week with Evan. So today, actually filming on a Saturday instead of a Wednesday, a little bit different, but more time today. I want to jump right in. I've been watching the show BattleBots on ABC. It is, you can call it a comeback. What's a good name for it? It used to be on Comedy Central years ago. I used to watch it back when I was a little kid and was so excited. And then I saw that it was coming back to ABC, and I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And I was so pumped to watch this season, and it hasn't been a letdown. It's been great. It's on ABC on Sundays. I think tomorrow is actually the final episode. And they call it a sport. It's if you're unaware with the concept, there's two teams that build robots that weigh. There's certain different requirements, but the common viewer doesn't know what they are. So I'm not sure what they are, but I know weight is a requirement. It can't be like 500 pounds. It's going to be like 250 or less, or something like that. But you got two teams. They build bots. They battle. They have weapons. They have defenses. The most violent of these is like a horizontal spinner. It spins, and as you can imagine, you got a robot over here, you got a horizontal spinner, blows up. It's great. Some teams try to use flamethrowers. Some teams have try to lift and flip the bots. I mean, it's exciting, and I'm ready for the finals. But watching it got me thinking, if that's called a sport, a couple of things. One is, will there ever be a day where robots or machines replace athletes? I don't think so, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about. I think that the aspect of being human and the potential of making mistakes is what makes sport so fantastic to watch. And if you take the human element out of it and everything's an algorithm, I think that will become a lot less boring. Of course, you could program risk. I'm just trying to think of basketball. You could try to program somebody to go for the steal, and of course they could be wrong and miss. But in an ideal world, the robot knows he would miss, and so he would never try for the steal in the first place, therefore making it boring because it's all predictable. Now, they could be controlled by somebody, meaning we no longer have athletes in the body. You have athletes of the mind who are controlling robots who are trying to score a basketball goal or shoot a soccer ball or do something. And that could be interesting to watch. Probably still not as entertaining, at least not the way that I'm imagining it. But at some point it could be. I mean, I imagine a sport like football could potentially be something that you could watch because people are scared of concussions. They're scared of a lot of things. And if you had a bunch of robots colliding with each other and giving each other damage, that would be entertaining. And you don't have to take out your sense of like, oh my God, why are these people killing each other? Because they're robots. That could be interesting. I don't know how that would work, but it could be interesting. I mean, BattleBots in itself is two bots running into each other, and football is a sport of 22 people basically running into each other, as is rugby, and more running into each other with rugby. But I think it could be interesting. Finesse sports, I don't know. Baseball, I think a robot theoretically should be able to hit a home run every single time. Again, boring. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're into that. I wouldn't be, but that's beside the point. But I think that what's maybe closer to existence maybe somewhat used already. Maybe we're scared to use it. I don't know, but that is technology as referees. I guess the closest thing I can think of right now is in Wimbledon and other tennis championships when they have the replay to see if it's in or out. They look at the replay, and the replay either shows it's in or it's out. Why not automate that process? Why not, since a replay can do it, why not make it live action and just have camera sensors if it's hit the line or not? They're already using that in soccer too, with the goal line technology to see if it's past the goal line. So why not completely automate the process? I don't know why you would need a referee. I don't know why you would need like 6 or 9 or 12 or how many ever line judges that tennis uses, because the call would always be right. I mean, the only downside I guess could see is it's got to be a computer system, and a computer system can be hacked. So potentially somebody could hack into it and give somebody an advantage. That's a possibility, I guess. You could, make sure you have a secured system, and if somebody really wants to hack into it to fix a sporting match, then so be it. But I think that there's more lucrative things to hack into if that's what they really want to do with their lives and then go to jail. But I could see that potentially being a drawback is oh, we don't know who's in control. Yeah, whatever. But that's tennis. Basketball, football. I mean, anytime you have a sport with like fouls, I don't know how technology could work. You would have to program the camera, computer, mechanical referee, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it would end up being. I guess you would have to program it to say what's a foul and what's not a foul, and that's always up for debate. So I guess whoever programs it would be the head referee to say, okay, this is a foul, this isn't a foul. But it's always changing, and you never see the same play exactly twice. So would a referee or computer system be able to adapt to it? One thing I can think of, and I know that this is on a much smaller scale than what we're thinking of, is in FIFA 15. I didn't really realize this until I saw somebody talk about FIFA 16, which is coming out in September. In FIFA 15, the defender has no way to tackle an opponent or tackle the ball when it's in the air. The only thing that you can see is if it's free enough for them to like clear it out, and they'll kick it, but they just won't make a tackle or go for the ball when it's in the air. And I think this usually results in a foul because they'll just stick a foot out and trip the guy, or it just results in the computer being an idiot and the guy's already passed them. So it's one of those two things. It's just odd to me that the computer just couldn't do that. But the guys that I was watching were like, well, the characters can only do what they're programmed to do. And so that animation or movement just hadn't been programmed into the characters on the game. So, if there's something that's not programmed into a mechanical referee or a computer or a camera or whatever it is that's making the calls, if they're not programmed to see that as a foul, even though it's clearly a foul, then they won't call it. And that's a problem. So, I mean, there's a lot of kinks and stuff that you would have to figure out, but I just wonder how close we are to fixing that issue because, we at home can see everything in 12 different camera angles, if not more. We can slow it down frame by frame by frame to see if, somebody's toe is on the line, to see if the ball is fair or foul. I mean, lots of different things that the viewer at home can see that the referees can't necessarily see. And the viewers at home are like, oh my God, you stupid ref, you blew the game, you blew this call. But, you go out there and try to make the call when the game is moving 100 miles per hour and see if you would get it right. So I think there's an outcry for, let's get the calls as right as possible. So I think that making it completely automated eventually would be something that we would be aspiring to. I mean, yes, the referees who work the game necessarily would be out of a job, or at least out of that job. I think that you could find a way in the stadium to say, okay, we're taking 3-4 jobs away from the NBA referees, but we're going to create 5 jobs of, making sure that the system's working correctly each game. So I think that there's potential and no job loss. But there's a lot of things that you would have to iron out to see if this process would work. Would it all be camera operated? Would they have like a mechanical official? Would they have a human body who's not making the judgment calls, but actually making the physical calls? Like, what if he's got a watch and it just says walk, and he blows the whistle and says to travel? I mean, my God, the NBA could use somebody to actually call traveling. If you haven't seen it, look up Kendrick Perkins' like 9-10 steps that he took this past season. It's a fascinating video. It's an embarrassment to the NBA that they get away with travel like that. So I think that a unbiased official who can see everything and who can think much faster than a human being could possibly think and get the calls right, I think that would be something that could be useful. So why not? Why not get mechanical referees? Or the camera, computer, whatever that you want to call it. I'm just going to call it a mechanical referee. You can call it a technological referee, because they're still being a referee. How close are we to that? Is there anything that I'm kind of forgetting about as far as details on why this could work or couldn't work? I just don't know. If a camera can pick up and see that the soccer ball has crossed football has crossed the goal line and can signal the referee, and the referee gets a buzz on his watch and he looks at it and he says it's a goal, why even need the referee? I mean, okay, I guess you need one referee, but why not use the same things for offsides? Why not just have his watch, why not have a whistle blow in the stadium on the speakers and say that it was offsides on his watch? I don't know. I do know that you couldn't use that technology yet at every level, because you can't even do that with the goal line technology. It's only in certain leagues, and it's just too expensive. So clearly you couldn't do anything like that at a youth level, at a high school level, at a AAU level. You couldn't use anything like that until technology just becomes so cheap or easy to do that it's commonplace. But I don't think that would be the case. But in your NBA, your MLB, your MLS, your Premier League, all these places, your ATP tennis championships, I mean, I don't understand why not. And I don't really get why it would be a bad idea. Still have one human official who's the official, but use cameras and computers to do everything. You got to have somebody smart to program it, and you got to make sure that it's hack proof. And other than that, I'm not sure what the problems are. Of course, if you're calling fouls or anything like that, I talked about, you need to make sure that it can assess how to accurately call a foul. But as far as in and out, inbounds, out of bounds, foul fair, offsides, I think all of those things, which if you just take a camera still shot, you can see, did the ball hit the ground? I think all of those things could be potentially all done by camera and computer, just alert the official. I would be interesting. I know most MLB fans would be completely against having, technology whatsoever, except for the replays. I think that they do like that, but seeing if the player is safe or out, we leave that up to the refs, and then if there's a challenge, the manager uses their one challenge, they go in and see if it was, they use replay and see if it was correct or not. So why even get it wrong in the first place? Um, Video camera sees it like that, makes a decision like that, sends a signal to the umpire like that. He looks at his wrist or wherever it's at and makes the call. I mean, it slows the game down maybe, oh man, maybe 5 seconds. I don't even think it's that much. I mean, sees it, does it, operate it, sends the signal, makes the call. I don't see why not. But I'm sure I'm forgetting some things. The one thing I would be interesting to see, and as I was alluding to, I just didn't quite get to this point, was could it call balls and strikes? We already have cameras and technology that post a strike zone and then post where the pitch was. But I think baseball purists would be completely against this. However, I do think it would be completely fair. Now, is the strike zone the same for every batter? You have to get back to the basics of defining what the strike zone is. And then, it should be easy. I think that it will be there one day. Going back to the first point, I don't think that we will see our common sports athletes replaced with robots. I just, maybe we'll come up with new sports that are more entertaining and less physically damaging to the body. I don't know. I'm sure there'd be some sort of robot football, but that would be so far into the future. But who knows? I mean, like 100 years ago, we didn't have FIFA. We barely, at about 100 years ago, we didn't have the World Cup until like the 30s. So we didn't have the World Cup 100 years ago. Baseball is like 115. MLB is 115 years old. Baseball is older than that, but the MLB is about 115 years old. NFL is doing its 50th Super Bowl. So let's just say 100 years ago and think about how sport has changed within the past 100 years. Then in the next 100 years, I think it will change a lot more. So by 2115, will we have mechanical robots or cyborgs or whatever that will be as the athletes replacing our modern day athlete? How soon will that be? How soon will we get computer referees making all of these calls so that the human officials don't get them wrong? How soon will that happen? I think in the next, I want to say in the next 15 years, that'll be a thing, but who knows? We'll see. And if you think that I left anything out or you think of any kind of detail that should be discussed on this, please just let me know. I'm all ears and I'll be glad to hear from you. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.